Hello and welcome to the weekly voice chats of the Men Are Human Discord server. We are the semi-official server of the men's rights subreddit. This week's topic is misandry on the internet. Sexism against men and vitriol towards men online. And Ma has a collection of screenshots which he is going to post. If you want to follow the text channel, that's very active. Some people consider as much of the main event as the voice channel. But we have seen in the last, especially 6 years, but really going back quite a long time, this complete acceptance of posting violent messages towards men and boys, both in general and specifically. And two cases that I'm thinking of are Bahar Mustafar, the diversity officer at Goldsmiths University, and Sarah Jong, who I made a few videos on, who tweeted "kill white men" and how she enjoys being cruel to men and extremely violent messages. And it was completely and widely accepted. I'm going to post those two stories now. This is about Mahad Mustafar. She's one who tweeted "kill all white men." And she was a staff member at a university, a diversity and welfare officer at a university. And she tweeted "kill all white men." And then, of course, there was Sarah Jong, we pulled her up, who was hired to be an editor at the New York Times. An editor at the New York Times, and she was defended by a lot of people for her violent tweets. And what's more worrying to me is the fact that she would. It's not so much the fact that she. Oh, sorry, Bottle Bank. YouTube, our YouTube channel. We'll send you a URL. I posted a screenshot. These are some of the tweets made by Sarah Jong. And some of the worst examples. Here's the example. If you look at the top, the one I just posted. She says, "Oh man, it's kind of sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men." What exactly does that mean? Why exactly would she be posting it? And why exactly was she defended for it? And overall, misandry has become socially acceptable. Hating men and boys has become socially acceptable. Violence against men has become socially acceptable. And male victims of domestic violence are widely mocked and widely ignored. And when feminists say that they're defending women's rights because they're trying to turn around the harmful gender stereotypes and the harmful gender roles that allows these things to happen, the biggest offenders of the things we're talking about right now are feminists. The biggest, Kathleen, does this prof have white male students? So she wasn't a professor, she was a diversity and welfare officer. So technically, she represents every single student at the university. So, yes, any white male student would be her responsibility for their diversity and welfare. So she's responsible for the welfare of the white male students of the university as she's tweeting "kill all white men." It's telling that in all of these cases, or most of these cases, when you see these kinds of comments, you see these kinds of tweets, and you follow that person's account, 9 times out of 10, you see that they identify as a feminist or as a progressive, and you see them use like feminist language and common buzzwords that feminists use and common hashtags that feminists use. And so what exactly is the connection? Is there a connection between the modern day feminist movement and misandry on the internet? And I think when you look at some of the feminist subreddits, you have to conclude that there are. Because by far the most vitriolic literature I've seen posted about men on the internet almost exclusively come from feminists. Feminist subreddits, feminist Twitter accounts, feminist blogs, feminist websites, feminist media, social media figures. The worst Twitter accounts I've seen almost always identify as feminists. The worst subreddits, such as FDS, such as Against Men's Rights, identify as feminist subreddits. The subreddits and the Twitter accounts and the profiles and the blogs that promotes blatant sexism against men, even violence against men, literal violence against men, tend to be feminist identifying. And so I think there's a question that has to be asked: why is that? And what does that mean going forward? So Ma is posting some of these examples on Twitter. Here's one: you girls need to start giving homeless men poisoned food. And it would be easy to dismiss this as just a crazy person posting random stuff on the internet. They're just a troll, it's just a bunch of nonsense. That would be true if not for the fact that these comments get liked and get retweeted. This comment has 116 likes. What's funny about you girls need to start giving homeless men poison food? Um, the 116 likes, I'm not sure if that's for the homeless men comment or the comment below, which is maybe even worse. Fellow femcells, what petty misandrous thing do you do? I personally scroll into another report when I see tweets saying retweet or donate to a sick, injured, or poor scrotes, which is a word that FDS, which is a feminist subreddit, female dating strategy, uses to refer to men, and his picture lying in hospital bed attached to it. Basically, what you're saying is she reports tweets that are saying asking for donations for sick men in hospital. And either that or you girls need to start giving homeless men poison food got 116 likes. And there's a psychology behind mob mentality where sometimes things start as jokes and then they grow and they evolve and they start to take a life of its own. And the line between fiction and reality gets blurred. So I know Ma has some more examples of this. But I'm sure anyone here who spent enough time on the internet has come across misandry on the internet from both the mild to the extreme. So I'm going to open the floor. Anybody with any examples or any stories they want to share, feel free.
I think that first we should probably go through some of these tweets because they are absolutely horrible and they are getting a lot of likes. The fellow femcells thread is just full of women and men telling, the OP just what they do, like to be petty towards men, and some horrible things in there. But the person retweeting them is just as horrible, if not worse. And I think we should probably have a look at some of the things they've been tweeting because they're quite horrible.
Yeah, you want me to post some of the ones you sent me?
You can if you want. I'm having trouble with my computer.
Okay. So I'm uncomfortable even reading this person's screen name. You'll be able to see it for yourself. But here's another one from this person. Based on what I've witnessed in my own personal experience, true female solidarity can only be achieved when women get together to talk about men they want to see get raped. Now, if that was just one person's tweet, especially given the screen name and the user and the picture, profile picture, I would say it's a single crazy person. But who were the 27 people that liked it and why? New and revised scum manifesto with a chapter dedicated to the celebrity male coliseum where they'd forced to rape each other for survival and our entertainment. Why would anyone read that and think, oh, I'm going to click like on that? I like that. I'm going to click like on it because I think that's funny or it's just a joke. What's the funny part of the joke? And the language that they're using here is very much similar to language from female dating strategy. If you don't know what that is, it's a subreddit with over 100,000 subscribers. That is one of the most blatantly sexist communities that I've ever come across. And it actually got a shout out. I forget the publication, but there was a mainstream publication that actually wrote an article defending it, saying that it was this new liberating space for women and empowering women in the dating world. And for those of you who don't know, female dating strategy encourages relationships where men are the sole providers of all expenses and women save their money and use it solely for themselves. And men are essentially financially burdened for all costs. Men have to pay all the rents, men have to pay for all the groceries, and any mention of domestic violence against men is essentially treated with laughter or treated like this. and men are called scrotes. And more or less, the implication is that any bad thing that happens to a man, men deserve because patriarchy and they're evil and they oppress women, and so this is women's way of making it equal and getting back. That's a little bit of an oversimplification, but if you scroll that subreddit long enough, which is very painful to do, that's more or less the experience that you're going to have.
Yeah, these tweets they do get worse and worse as you delve deeper into this world. And I have checked, these aren't parody accounts, these are normal people online. Well, not normal people, but they're normal accounts online.
Genuine
These
people.
are
I mean,
people who
it's genuine.
run into, yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
post the links so we can go directly to the tweets themselves?
absolutely. Although I have reported all of these, so it is not certain how long they're going to be up. But they may stay up forever. Because you know Twitter.
Well, of course, you know that Jordan Peterson was recently banned from Twitter.
Yeah, you can't ask what a woman is, but you can uh, scream that men are evil and they should be raped and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I may.
Go ahead.
So, this isn't much about tweets. This is gonna sound a little bit off topic, but it's not. But I remember that after my whole debacle with a very evil woman, I gained so much weight in depression. I recently joined the gym and lost 40 pounds. And I've been posting that, and I got a message which I deleted because I don't need to focus this on my life. But apparently, to some women, me exercising is a sign of patriarchy. Can somebody please explain that?
Yeah, I did a video mocking that. Basically, that exercise is an expression of toxic masculinity. I think
No, it wasn't toxic masculinity. It was actually something ridiculous that I've actually only heard about recently. Like, I never heard of this before. But apparently, me exercising is quote unquote fat phobic, and it promotes the patriarchy. And I'm like, is this what we're going to in society now? Not just with radical feminism and all this stuff. And my own girlfriend was actually a victim recently because during the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case, where Johnny Depp finally gave out a voice for men who have been abused. My girlfriend fully supports Johnny Depp, and she said publicly, how many times have you seen women walk all over men in the court systems because they know they will get away with it? And so many people agree with her saying, yeah, but then you have people saying, this girl here is promoting male abuse to women, even though it came out that Amber Heard was not the victim. She was the aggressor. She was the abuser. She openly mocked him. But people are still saying, oh, you're such a queen. And then Amber Heard's going out saying, this is a setback for women. And I said the same thing. I said, setback for women. How about for all the men who have to keep their mouth shut because they're being beaten every day by their girlfriend or wife, and they can't say nothing because people will laugh at them and say men can't be abused.
And you know, the only thing that you could possibly do to get them to care about that is to point out that men who are abused and often end up killing their partners because they don't see any other way out.
Yeah.
Right. And in my case, when it comes to seeing our society really just break down, and you know, with everything that's been going on lately with the Roe and Wade, which I'm not even going to talk about, but just seeing them go absolutely crazy. Now they're saying we should castrate men at birth, and I'm thinking, are we living in a society where they paint all women as weak little girls and all men are just porn consuming sex deviants?
Huh.
Like, is that really what we're living in today?
We're living in a world that believes that men have the power and women are the victims. And everything that we're doing in gender, all the actions taken are in response to that belief. So if you believe that men have the power, you're going to want to take power away from men.
Our vice president is a woman, though. What does that say?
Well, I'm not saying that the male power female victimization paradigm is accurate. In fact, I'm saying that it's actually half of gender reality presented and demanded to be accepted as if it were gender reality in its entirety. But it's taught in school. The world is a patriarchy. I mean, that's what's taught. That's what I think the mainstream believe. That's the standard official gender belief system. Man bad, the overempowered oppressor victimizer, woman good, the innocent victim. And
I
we're
can't wait until fat studies gets put into that.
What's that?
I can't wait until they start to incorporate fat studies into all of that nonsense. And so you've got because the thing people don't realize about fat studies is they glorify
Obesity.
not just that, but they shame each other for not being fat enough. So they call if you're just a bit chubby, they call you a small fat.
Actually, can I correct you? It's small fat. Then there's medium fat. Then there's I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's super fat, and then there's infinifat, which is like you have to get custom made clothes, and they want to they want to glorify that.
Well, you see, this is zero.
It's a hierarchy.
See how that's a zero accountability? It's so endemic for women. Zero accountability. So women will have zero accountability for their own eating habits, you see.
Oh, and there's something else I've noticed lately, and I don't understand what is this new trend. I'm gonna call it a trend because I'm not even gonna call it a new definition in society. I'm gonna call it a trend because I hope this doesn't last. So when did it start? People are saying people assigned male and assigned female at birth. When did that happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all part of the whole trans. I mean, that began with male and female are merely social constructs. That's where that all began, and it just escalated from there until, yeah, assigned. That's where the doctor assigns male or female to the newborn.
And this wasn't a tweet. This was a post on Reddit when the whole Roe versus Wade thing. Somebody posted, and this makes no sense at all. Instead of saying "What a sad day for women," this person said, and I quote, "What a sad day for people with female assigned reproductive systems."
You know, I'll be honest. I'm kind of happy to sit this one out when it comes to trans athletes, and now we're seeing feminists protest trans athletes in women's sports, and now we're seeing a lot of feminists who used to be critical of TERFs are now themselves becoming what they themselves would define as TERFs. I am so happy to just completely sit this one out because you know what? This is absolutely not our problem. This is absolutely not our fight. My position has always been very simple. I respect people at an individual level. I respect someone's pronouns. If someone is trans, I respect them as a human being. I do think there's a biological difference between men and women. I do think that the headlines about trans athletes dominating women's sports were predictable, but it's not my sphere. It doesn't really affect me. And so I'm going to let women have this one, and they can address it how they want to. They can address their sports space how they want to address it. So I'm out of it. I'm not involved. I'm just going to observe from the background, and I'm more than happy to be out of the conversation.
I take the view that we shouldn't interrupt the enemy when they're making a mistake, personally. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, the fat stuff, because, being fat is a privilege. But they portray thin people as being the privileged ones. It's this whole backwards mentality. You can see it all in the tweets as well. Like, I think we should go back through some of the tweets. I posted a couple that didn't get read out. Blue, do you want to read them out?
Oh yeah, sure. The text channel. Boys can't get raped or molested past the age of 14, and then a reply saying, "Oh yeah, maybe I'm not a rad film or anything close to it at all. It was just a phase." And there's another one. I'm sick to my core right now. I just found out my little guy cousin in Pakistan was gang raped by this old guy friends. He barely made it out alive, and they were gonna kill him after. And then one of the response to that story, someone commenting on the story about a male cousin being raped and almost killed was, "I'm laughing so hard. Why can't that happen to more Moids?" And then the main person's account, whose screen name I still don't want to read out, says, "We should encourage male-on-male rape as much as we can, ladies. This is how we win." With
That's sick.
41 likes, which if it was one person's account with no likes, I wouldn't even pay attention to it. I would just scroll right past it because I've seen all kinds of crazy nonsense on the internet. I mean, it's nothing, to be honest, compared to what the internet has in store if you are so unfortunate to stumble upon some of the dark corners of it. But the 41 likes, who are those 41 people? And what do they like about it? Is this like some kind of big sick inside joke, some kind of like dark South Park humor that we're all missing? Because it doesn't feel that way to me. You know, it doesn't come across that way at all. Is it just a mentally ill troll? Is it just some crazy? You know, it's like it's almost the. It's not even the comment that concerns me. It's that 41 other people liked it. That's what concerns me.
I think that they read as dead serious. I mean, I've seen a lot of joke tweets, so like I don't see like this seems deadly serious, and the people who like it certainly think it's serious. So this is, I mean, there was 600 people liked that tweet saying that she tried to sabotage men getting help with their medical bills.
I even think when you have the Bihan Mustafar and Sarah Jong tweeting "kill all men" and "kill white men," even those tweets, which I'm sure they didn't mean them literally. Oh, Kathleen asks, "What is Moids?" Moids is men. FDS uses the word Moids to refer to men. It's a play on a foids.
Out of curiosity, what did white men ever do to these women? Is my question. They always generalize white men, white men, white men. I'm thinking, well, what did they do?
Well, to be fair, I should say they also Sarah Jong tweeted "kill all men" as well. She was
And
actually
okay, what if the roles were reversed? Somebody tweeted out "kill all women." That
it
would
wouldn't
get
be seen as a joke. No.
I've seen quite serious people saying kill all men, and then somebody saying even trans men, and the person replies, "Did I stutter?" They're psychopaths. They hate men so much. This is what the death of civilization looks like, when people turn on the men and they turn on each other. But like, it's always the men who get turned on. Have you noticed that? It's like they single out the men and they attack them specifically. Blue, do you want to read the next set of tweets I just posted?
I actually have to head out early, but thank you for letting me cooperate with you guys.
Oh, sure, Skyhawk. See you later.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Blue, do you want to read out the next lot?
Yeah. Okay. Based on what I've witnessed and my own personal experience, true female. I think we did. I think we did read that one earlier. That's the one about women can only be achieve solidarity when they get together and talk about the men they want to see raped. Yeah, we did that one.
Did we?
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I'll post another one.
Okay, and this is a different user, but they've been retweeted by that first user, whose name I don't want to read. This one is Fresh Prince of Tartara, or no, Tartaria, whatever it is. Just looked up what Erominus looked like, and now I understand why Varg stabbed him 6 million times. I gotta be honest, I don't know who either of those people are. What's that in reference to?
I don't know who they are either. I think it's some sort of band or something, but I just thought it was interesting that it was retweeted by that person,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and like they're just picking up on this guy who's just like a standard rocker guy, and they're just like, yeah, look at how he looks. He should be stabbed 6 million times. It's
Casual
just
violence.
casual
Yeah.
misandry.
It's
Let's
and
move on to the next one.
people would ask, well, why is that misandry? It's misandry because casual violence against women would not get 1,400 likes. It would not be seen as a joke.
Yeah, that's partly why I put it on there. It's got uh, 1,438 likes and 108 retweets. It's disgusting, really. Uh, I've reported most of these. Uh,
Is that poster a man or a woman? Do we know?
I don't know the gender of the person posting these, no, but I think that. I mean, it's very hard to. Well, actually, I think they might be a woman because they posted about lesbianism and what gets included in lesbianism, and apparently something rather disgusting that I don't really want to share was included in lesbianism. I think they actually said about child abuse being accused part of their lesbianism. So, yeah. Anyway, the next tweet here is I think we're getting into other people's tweets. Yeah, this was one that I just thought was interesting. Does somebody else want to read it out?
I'll read it out. Performing sex acts that are painful that you don't like in order to satisfy the needs of your partner is sexual coercion, and probably even rape, but since the female socialization leans towards lie back and think of England, no one believes it.
Now, this one isn't. This one's only tangentially related, but it sort of speaks to the mindset of the man has full autonomy, but the woman doesn't. So even though they are like they're treating women now as just incapable of consenting, the man has to consent for the woman in this, which is very, very interesting. It's so it's misogyny and it's misandry in one nice, neat little package.
Right.
And
I feel like that's because they're taught that way, though. They're told that they can just take it back whenever. And I hate to put the blame on like male and female, but like men too will tell them that, more manipulative men as well.
yeah,
I've like seen it happen where they'll come. There are guys more revenge than our guys, and they'll just convince a girl, "Oh, he hugged you. That was totally sexual assault."
Mhm.
So now a hug equates to sexual assault in her mind
But you see how
because
that,
it's such a
you see how it all
fluid concept.
infantilizes women. Incredible how women are being infantilized by all this. Yeah, nobody's coming out of this without damage. It's deeply hostile. It's poisoning the whole social fabric, and everyone suffers it.
And the problem in reality is that women need to figure out that they need to take full responsibility because they get to act. You're talking about infantilizing. They get to act like an infant mindset when it comes to this kind of post, this kind of ideas. When it comes to sexual coercion, like what determines rape, what determines assault and stuff, they get to say, "Oh, but I was told this." But then, whenever they feel like it, they can say, "Oh, but I'm so independent and taking full responsibility." they've been taught so much of their life that they
Yeah.
gotta go eat their, they gotta make their cake and eat it too. The frank way of putting it,
Yeah.
through metaphors. And in reality, they don't, but since they've always been taught that way, they just keep doing that.
Here's another one that I think is quite interesting. I mean, the previous one is it's like they are justifying their going and saying that sex they consented to is now rape because they didn't speak up saying they didn't enjoy it. And it's not the man's job to determine if the woman is enjoying what's happening. It's her job to tell him that she doesn't like it or she does like it or whatever. Like, he's not a mind reader. He can't consent for her. She has to consent for herself. It's very, very simple. But feminists don't want this because they want to have it both ways in every single situation. It's crazy. But let's move on to the next one. If somebody could read that out, that'd be good.
If I'm having a conversation with a group of people when the male speaks, I don't respond or ignore him. And then when the woman speaks, I perk up and engage with her and the other woman. Give a taste of their own medicine. I report tweets from Moids that have anything that have to do with violence or murdering themselves. Person doesn't know how to speak English, that's clear.
Well, I was gonna say for the first one, if I saw someone was ignoring me when I was speaking, I would just start going on a strong anti-feminist diatribe right in front of them, see what they say. They perk up to that.
Oh, good example. Good idea. Now, this stuff now is actually from that thread where the woman was asking, "What nasty petty things do you do to men?" That was the one who was talking about how she tries to sabotage men looking for money to help with their medical bills. And do you want to continue reading that?
Sure. I'll try to finish it if I can understand what this person wrote. Clearly, so where were we? The second part. I report tweets from Moids that have anything that have to do with violence or don't know what that is because this person doesn't know English. Literally go through their Twitters just to find shit. Multiple Moids have been escorted. What a Samaritan. So, K-wording. Oh. The internet.
Oh, I think it sounds like they report tweets talking about suicide. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if they're planning to kill themselves, they report the tweet so it vanishes, so people don't help them.
That's...
There's ones that are as bad or worse in here where they get more direct. Do you want to read the next ones? Or somebody else want to read them?
Alright. I only feed female ducks. This is by far the prettiest thing I've ever read. Who's... So tape? Men. I told women at the pet store that I would want a female hamster specifically. That's so cool. What?
The scary thing, and this is asking for petty examples, so most of them are very petty, but imagine if these people were a nurse in a retirement community. Or imagine if these people were on a jury overseeing a domestic violence case. That's when this kind of thinking becomes actually harmful.
I think one of them actually is a nurse.
Well, there was that nurse that we got fired. Well, not we meaning DMRM on the internet, not us personally. Who got fired for that circumcision tweet she made. I think she was from Arizona. Remember that, like a year ago?
I think I have a dim memory of what you mean, and I just like to say sorry, not sorry.
No, not sorry at all.
Yeah. She deserves
Yeah.
her job at McDonald's.
Not
Good
even.
point. You know, I've actually seen so many ever since Roe v. Wade happened. There's been so many posts online against men in general. Whether it be, I've actually seen hashtag forced vasectomies. That's a thing now, apparently, all over Facebook from people I know, which is sad. But like, I've also seen so many posts about talking about people who, and it kills me because I think they're joking around. Some of them are actually serious about it, about specifically, I mean, before Roe v. Wade, about the idea of aborting a child if they know it's a male, but not if it's a female.
There are quite a lot of feminists who say they do that and have done that. And there are quite a few, we've come across videos of people in positions of power saying that all men should be castrated. Like they should get like a sample, stick it in on freeze, and then castrate them, like when they turn teenager.
Mm.
That's been going on.
This was said to a
Did
room full of boys, by the way.
did that start before or after Believe All Women?
Before.
It was about the same time.
Oh, I can remember going back quite a bit before believe all the women. I mean, it depends on what you consider the start. I mean, 20, 30 years ago was a freak few that would come out and say such a thing.
And it's interesting, even if it's meant as a quote unquote joke, it's still interesting that that's the way they choose to respond. That's the direction they choose to joke in. It's very telling that the reaction of those people was directed towards the male gender, not towards the Supreme Court, not towards Republicans. Some of them did, but the people that tweeted those particular things about forced vasectomies, that was their first instinct. That's the first way that their instincts took them. So they get bad news, and so their first response is to lash out at who obviously, in their subconscious, is their number one perceived enemy. Because that's the target their brain chose to select. I'll explain further what I mean. If someone's first instinct to bad news is to make a negative tweet towards black people, you would assume that they're racist. So if someone's instinct to bad news is to make a tweet calling for violence against men, what is the implication there?
Well, I have a theory that what we're looking at is women so infantilized that men become sort of like the parents. And we're looking at sort of like these child revenge fantasies against their parents. The hostility toward the parents that they imagine are oppressive because the child wants to go out and play and the parent won't allow it. And it looks a lot like temper tantrum of a child railing against the parents and having fantasies of usurping their parents and punishing their parents and even killing their parents.
As we're reading out these tweets, if anyone has personal anecdotes or experiences or stories, things that you've encountered or seen, by all means, feel free to share.
Yeah, so do you want to read the next one? It's good not to leave big silences, by the way.
Really
Anyone?
hard to read.
You wanna read the next one?
Is this the next one? I've been mean to guys unprovoked and extra nice to girls since I was a kid. Laughed my ass off, born misandrist. I also laughed out loud when this group of guys told me their sob stories of being rejected. In my country, will frequently threaten suicide if a girl, they literally. Okay, that's so cool. Respond to someone. Don't know what that's a abbreviation for, that eye chart there. Also manifest that they, when there's some kind of massacre or tragedy or something, I only share photos of the female victims. Sounds a lot like the media queen behavior. Hmm.
Which one was that? Because I don't think that was the one I just posted. But thanks for reading out.
This is the next one then. Hmm.
It was from like a minute ago. It's the same one as the one where they were talking about only getting female pets and not male pets. Same woman responding to all these posts.
Okay. Do you want to read the next one? Yeah, the same woman responding. That's the original person who posted that thing about the denying, like trying to stop men getting funding for their medical stuff, I think. Do you want to read the next one? Anyone?
Oh, I say I will yeet a male fetus. I say I will yeet a male fetus to Elias and keep it only if it's a girl. Also, like, trigger trad turds by saying I will keep my name I created for myself and not live in with a Moid. Cherry on top. Vibrator makes me orgasm. No little thing will ever did or will, so bonus. I refuse to give way on the side. Do you want to discuss the first one?
Yeah, I was just looking at trad turds is trad cons, which traditional conservatives. There is some decoding you have to do. So basically, she's saying that she'll abort any boys she's pregnant with, and only keep it if it's a girl, and something about her name that I don't care about. Calls men moids. Cherry on top. She hates anything to do with male sexuality. So possibly a political lesbian or an actual one, but hard to say in her own business if she wants to be like that. But being nasty to men generally just because you can't, like, you don't like men is a bit silly. Okay, next one is I refuse to give way on the sidewalk to Moids. That's their insult for men generally. They all barrel on ahead expecting me to yield. It's so funny watching them scramble away at the last minute. It's interesting. I don't really know what that's about. I think she's just I think I met somebody like that in London once. Like, there's this woman, and I was getting out of the way of her, but she didn't get, procreate by getting out of the way of me. And so she actually, I think she sort of veered into me a little bit and bashed off my shoulder. So, yeah. Does somebody want to read the next one?
There are some people who don't want to get out of the way of anyone. Like, I've heard people say specifically that they'd never move. Like, they let the other person move. So I don't know if they were the person you met or specifically bashing into just men. Because I know some people that say it's like, I don't know, the people were weird, but they think it's like some sort of social weakness to be the person that moves first. But they're saying, in the tweet, they're saying they just do it to men.
Yeah, I mean, people might disbelieve that these people are real, but I used to know somebody like this, and she was awful. Like she'd be like constantly ragging on you just because you're male. She'd be constantly backbiting about men generally. She's just so nasty. Weirdly, she got married and had a baby, and now she's a housewife or something. It's just weird. She was kind of psycho. So, anyone want to read the next one in that list, or move on to something else?
Uh,
I can read it if you want me to.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead if you want.
Oh, same. I'm pretty tall and big too, so they have to move and they don't realize until it's too late and they have to do the awkward shuffle. It's very refreshing.
It's interesting, right? Like she is a power play. Like she's like the man's expecting her to get out of the way as much as he's getting out of the way of her, quite likely. Like he's probably moving slightly over to the side, like you do on the path, expecting the other person to slightly move over to the side. But then that person does not do that, and you're left sort of wheedling around them. Like that's kind of what you have to do on most pavements, like where it's not one of those super wide London pavements. You just have to sort of one person walks to the edge, one person walks to the wall, and you sort of step around each other. But this person clearly just sort of, doesn't move at all. It's interesting. It's just like the little petty ways they show how much they hate men. And yeah, I think that you're right that it's a parent thing. I think they're acting rebellious against people they perceive as parent figures.
Parental authority. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I think the walking thing is also a power play, like a dominance thing, like making the other person be the one who backs down.
I mean, what a pathetically small and petty thing that is when you think about and it's like as small and petty as it is though, again, what does that extend over to? Like what does that carry on to in their professional capacity? So the kind of person that would do that kind of petty thing, what else would that person do? Like how far would they be willing to go, especially if given an opportunity to do so? So imagine if there was a politician, and it's not hard to imagine because it happens every single year, a politician comes along who has a misandristic platform or is advocating for laws that discriminate against men and boys. And this is not a hypothetical, this is happening right now as we speak. This is happening literally all the time, all over the world. These are the people who would unabashedly support those ideas and those laws and those politicians. So those are the people who would be the core supporting that. Even if they knew the laws were unfair, they would support it anyway. And maybe in their own minds, they would even justify it as being revenge or retribution or some kind of warped sense of justice even.
Mhm.
yeah. I think that um, I mean these are by far the first ones were some of the worst we've seen, but these ones, these petty ones, are like we've seen way worse tweets than these. We've seen tweets about people wanting to just castrate men, to like hurt them, to hurt children, to like do all sorts of awful things to them just because they're male. Anyway, do people want to read some more, or are you guys too sickened by what we're reading to want to do any more? We do have to wrap up soon. Anyone want to read any more? If not, then I think Doc should take us out. Doc?
Does anyone have? Well, does anyone have some more? If we have to wrap up soon, does anyone have more personal stories of anything they've read or heard along this line?
That's a good one. Anyone have any stories?
Well, I posted this piece from a female so-called poet from India, this Usha Akela's I Will Not Bear You Sons. It's the name of her book. And it's been acclaimed, primarily acclaimed out there, at least among the official, quote-unquote official press. Sells on Amazon. That's the title.
Can you tell us a bit about
Can
what
you
it's
give
about?
us more details? Yeah, can you give us more details what the book is about or the poems?
It's a long form poem that goes on about aborting male fetuses. I will not bear you sons. Let's see. Let's go there. Yeah. I was struck by her refusal to mince words. In recent years, the so-called third-wave feminist movement is often asked to soften its message, simplify itself, and turn its head into more implicit forms of misogyny. But this is lauding this Usha Akela. In I Will Not Bear You Sons, Usha Akela offers an outreach hand to women everywhere, as well as a confident middle finger to the patriarchal norms which silence them. Yeah, it's more of the same.
You know, it's just because what bothers me, and I know I say this all the time, so I'm not get broken record, but when she says it's a middle finger to the patriarchal norms, you know, I wonder if she gives the same finger to challenging the patriarchal norms when it comes to talking about male victims of rape or domestic violence, or questioning why do feminists groups pressure the UN to have women-only food distribution programs, or prioritize women for housing for homeless shelters and homeless public housing. I bet you when the norms benefit her, she's all in favor of them. She's only against the norms when she perceives it as being personally against her. So she's not really against norms. She's just against disadvantages. When a norm is to her advantage, norms themselves are fine. So she's not reacting to norms, she's reacting to things that she doesn't like personally. And that's really what it comes down to. And feminism has a very good track record of completely ignoring any norm or stereotype, any normalcy, any pattern, any old redundant system that benefits themselves. Those are never the things that get talked about.
I mean, it's also because they just abuse the word patriarchy. Ever since this whole situation has broken out, I know I'm talking about Roe v. Wade a lot, but that's just all that's been flooding my Facebook is the amount of hateful messages toward men because of the overturning of it. And it's this never-ending issue of patriarchy was, by definition in a dictionary, the idea of a state which is under the control of rulers who are male. And that there have been negative effects possibly because of the fact the ruler is male. That was the specific definition of it, and they have taken it completely out of hand. They've completely abused it, and patriarchy is just all men now. That's become the definition. All you ever see across Facebook, Twitter, wherever you go, is that the overturning Roe v. Wade was because of patriarchy. All the problems of the world is because of patriarchy. And when you argue feminists, they try to say, oh, well, male problems are also because of patriarchy. But what are you supposed to do about patriarchy when your new definition of patriarchy is that all men are the problem? All men have caused the problems of the world, and because of that, it's a reverse problem on themselves. Well, then your definition is causing a reverse problem on yourself as a group of people because you're so busy trying to fight against them that you're causing even more issue.
Sometimes all you need is a new word, coin a new word. So I coined the term patra matris sensus as a male-female consensus. And I suggest that that is what does and always has ruled our human world. Woman and man in co-equal co-partnership. Patra matris sensus.
And the issue, though, I think with that is when will feminists more so, obviously, than anyone else, especially toxic feminists, which, you know, is hard because toxic feminists may seem to make less a majority of feminism, but they speak so much louder. But toxic women are such a huge part of the population right now, to be thoroughly honest. And so it's really a question of when are toxic women going to admit their matriarchal powers and do a reflection upon how they've been using those matriarchal powers.
Yeah, female power is soft power. It's incredibly. It's not stated when I say soft power, I mean in the sense that it's not part of the stated rules. It's part of the implicit rules that people all acknowledge but never actually talk about. So an example of soft power is the ability of the woman to destroy a man or get other men to beat him up or kill him, and then get away with it and be seen as the victim. That's soft power. Soft power is it's when everything happens to your will, but nobody really thinks of you as the axis of what's going on. But women also have direct power, hard power in the families, where they are in charge of the children and they're bringing up the children and so on. So they are like women have had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years to bring up men exactly the way they want, to select exactly the men they want, and yeah, so men are what women wanted them to be, in a quite a profound way. So we do need to, like, we can't just say 0.1% of men have power, therefore all men are patriarchal monsters who oppress all women, because that's just insane clown world logic. It just doesn't work. It's the apex fallacy, it's all kinds of things. But this is what they do, because female soft power allows them to say things like that and be taken seriously, and have men not want to contradict them.
Yeah,
stuff like
profound. I just posted a link in the chat to a video of mine that I did for the ICMI 2020 called Female Power. I go through 14 modes of female power and do a pretty deep analysis of female power, what it is, what it's comprised of, how it works, how it applies its force of influence in the human system.
Okay, I think that's a long enough stream. So, Darkisha, if you could take us out, we'll go into free talk mode, and everyone can have their say and be more explicit, and you can start swearing if you want. It's not encouraged, but you can go ahead and
We
do
don't
that.
encourage it, but if you need to.
Yeah, sort of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming to this week's chat. We are here every Saturday, 3 p.m. UK, which is 9 a.m. or 3 p.m. UK, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. This has been the Men Human Rights Saturday Discord chat. We are here, as I said, every Saturday. If you ever have a topic recommendation, you can message Ma, you can message Blue, you can message myself. We love to entertain your topics on this live stream, and we hope to see you all next week.